to another episode of Live with Weiss. This is a really fun episode for me, simply because it's called Reflections of Progress. And what I really want to do is continue to share information, obviously about sales, about business strategy, about leadership, and so forth. And from the previous episode, I had a great guest on, Rod Crispin, who started to dive deep into the evolution of yourself, um, learning how to build and adapt and adopt new skills in order to progress through the ever evolving world that we live in. This journey that you're taking each and every time. And what's fascinating is, that episode really opened up my mind to, well, how have I been evolving through this experience? I've been doing LinkedIn Live episodes for 13 weeks straight, not missing one single episode, even through the holidays. And I started to think more and more. I even opened up StreamYard, that's the service I use to stream live, and I went into my past broadcasts, and there was a moment that clicked. It was really fascinating, where I actually had to scroll down through the videos and then load more videos, which I was like, wow, done a lot of those. And I start to think a little bit more about, well, what were they like back then when I first started? What are they like now? I mean, you can just tell as a viewer, my background has completely changed. My setup is a little bit different. It's because I need a way to present myself, a new space to do that. The way in which I project myself has changed drastically. My lighting has completely changed. My timing in which I've done has evolved. And I start to think about all the things that I just didn't know. We talked about that unconscious incompetence, then becoming consciously incompetent. And there's a lot of things I didn't know, and I never had a ton of time to reflect on that. You have to really think about it. You're the only person who's really going to grasp that in the moment and be able to dissect it in a way that makes sense to you. So what's really funny is between the episode with Rob and diving into those four categories of changing, progress, and adapting new skills and understanding your behaviors, really led into a recent interview I had with a company. A great group of people, and what was fascinating was part of the interview process was to present something that you're passionate about. I'm passionate about a bunch of stuff. I'm passionate about food, I'm passionate about scotch, I'm passionate about travel and culture and experience. But I really wanted to challenge myself. Okay, what's my newest passion that I'm really getting into? What's the thing that I could really stretch myself on and try something new? Decided to talk about LinkedIn Live. And so, not to bore you with the entire story, when I first started thinking about LinkedIn Live, I can't believe in that moment I had to think about, wow, I thought about doing these live sessions. It's a passion. Why is it a passion in the first place? Why do I enjoy getting in front of this camera, speaking to each and every one of you, and getting a chance to share my knowledge, share my voice? And as I dove deeper into this presentation, as I started to build it out, I started to realize, wow, look at the evolution, the challenges that I faced in doing all these live episodes, and how much I enjoyed it. And the funny thing is, last episode there was something that resonated, which was, is sales a passion or is it an addiction? And it's the same thing across the board. Things that you are passionate about can become addictive. Things like this, where I'm always thinking, how could the next episode be better than the previous episode? And you think about all the technology, the words you use, everything. And so this presentation really broke down all my learnings. And it was great for me because I got to break down myself. I got to break down what I was thinking, how I was doing things, where I stumbled, where I progressed, and so forth. And there was a lot of learnings that I learned in that moment. I thought I was smart in how I was doing things, but really, I was just unconsciously incompetent. I know what I'm doing. Then I became conscious of knowing I didn't know what I was doing when I was doing this. And so I started to learn more about LinkedIn, the power of LinkedIn. I started to learn more about the connections that are out there, how important those connections are within a platform like this. And then also your content and what you're delivering to people is so important. And as I went through this presentation, finished it, and after we had a debrief and we talked about some of the things that we went over, fielded questions, the meeting ended, and I sat back and said, wow. Besides that, it was an awesome meeting. I really thought about how can I take this to the next level? How can I continue to share information that I've learned over time? Because you need to continue in what you're doing and what your mission is and sharing that information with everybody that's here, because that's what it's all about. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to better ourselves, better each other. And so there's a few major things I want to share with you in my learnings from doing this for the past 13 weeks straight. Besides the fact that it feels like I've been doing this forever, which is really weird, right? You don't think about doing this forever until it becomes more of like a routine. And I wake up every Wednesday now and I'm like, oh, time to rock and roll. Time to go live. And it's so much fun to do that. But some of the things that I really learned over time, and what everything resonated with me after that presentation. So the very first thing is always having a consistent North Star. Everyone knows that the North Star is always constant in the sky. It's the you can guide yourself. Back in the day where they used the nautical side, they used to be able to guide their ships steaming in the right direction in the middle of the night. And that North Star is still what your mission is in what you're doing, and especially with LinkedIn Live. My mission has always been the same, which is important. I'll tell you why. But first, my mission. Because I already know, mission is very simple. It's making sure that my greatest success comes from the success of those around me. It's a crazy statement, but as people succeed around you, it feels good. You had your hand in it, and that is always going to be the North Star of this account of going live no matter what, because you have a North Star. And remember, you can have this for anything. It doesn't have to just be content creation. It could be anything. But there's always a North Star to go after. Everything that you do to get to that North Star can pivot, can adjust, can adapt. The content that I created, look at my first episode. It was janky as all hell. It was just telling a story. And then all of a sudden, I'm here today with a whole different set of content, different lineup of things that I'm doing. And that's simple, right? The North Star is always going to be there. Does the content that you're creating now drive towards that North Star? Is it finding that direction that you set yourself for? Move forward. And listen, if I can help achieve a different journey, a different path you can take on your journey, if I can help you change a word in your structure of language, it's going to help you move forward in progress, whether it's in business or personal life, that's success, no matter what. But, this is new. Right? I told you earlier, it feels like we've been doing this forever, but we haven't. This is still an infant of a channel. It's the infant of content creation. What happens when you get to 100 episodes? Then things change. But this is 3 months in. And I think it's important because if you're getting into this, if you're trying to drive content, especially on LinkedIn, you need to make sure always have your North Star, what you're trying to do. Your content can change, your approach can change, your image can change, but your North Star never changes. So always try to find that no matter what. And having a North Star in life is just great in general. That's some deep stuff that I learned. Diving into this, became consciously aware of what my North Star was. I always tried to make it be that, but now it truly is. Along with that, building a better connection, especially with LinkedIn. So there's funny perspectives of LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a social media platform. LinkedIn is a business platform. LinkedIn is where we can sell products, all that stuff. But what I've learned in my engagement, my interaction, my live channels, everything else, LinkedIn is absolutely the strongest connection network in the world. Plain and simple. And what I mean by connection network is that you're actually building meaningful connections with people around you. I thought about it. You think about LinkedIn, you think about Facebook, you think about Instagram, you think about Twitter, all these different social media platforms where the content, the connections you make with new people is definitely not as strong as the ones you find on LinkedIn. You have to understand that because the content that you're putting out, the North Star that you're looking for, is extraordinarily important. And for that, you need to build meaningful connections. And part of connections is engagement. You're going to hear it over and over from social media experts on here, and seminars, anywhere that engagement. But for me, for 3 months of just doing this, the more engagement I had, the better I felt. The more engagement I had, the more views I would get. Right? That was really weird. The more engagement I had, though, the more I could drive impact to those. And I always try to, whenever I engage, be thoughtful of the things that I'm saying, the things that I'm portraying, the words that I'm using. Because, face it, in the end, if you're doing meaningless conversations, just like going to the bar, we used to, right? Going to the bar and having a conversation with somebody, and then all of a sudden, like you're just having a shit conversation, and it doesn't feel good. You don't connect with that person. You don't want to go hang out with them afterwards if they're brand new. You want to just move on, go back to your comfort zone, go back to your friends, and go do what you were normally set to do. So you need to connect well with here. And I noticed that, and it changes everything about your accounts. It changes everything about the people you're connected with. And more importantly, you can learn something yourself from the other people you're engaged with. So by all means, when you're engaging with people, what I've learned, continue to engage, be thoughtful about it. Write some great things. It takes 10 seconds sometimes to write something thoughtful that could impact that person as trying to have a conversation with you. So engagement's important, guys. Try to push that. It changes your account too, by all means. But it shouldn't be just about your account. It should be about the people around you. My North Star is always trying to, my success, my great success comes from the success of those around me. And then engage with people to help ensure that success sells. The talking about numbers and all that stuff, things that I've learned over time, is analytics. So, look, analytics is one of the greatest things and your worst enemy when it comes to content creation like this. When I first started these live streams, let's take that back. When I first started doing YouTube videos for video games and video game reviews, I was super happy to do it. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. I got to learn a lot about YouTube. But you got engulfed in analytics. The views, the comments, the geographical location where everyone's coming from, the percentage of video of which people are watching the most of. When are people coming on? When are people dropping off? You get engulfed. And these analytics are great because you learn about the people that are watching, You're learning about the types of people that are joining in. You're learning about how effective your content is. You're learning about which videos are more impactful than the others. And that's important because your North Star is always going to be your North Star. And you can change your content. You can adapt. You can change. You can evolve. All this stuff. Because that's okay. You're still learning. You're still trying to understand what it is. And after 6 months of doing those videos, I learned something that was super important with that. But the analytics, although we got to change our conversation what we were going after, drove me nuts. The analytics can be so in depth that you might say, I need to go in this direction by instinct and try something, but it may prevent you from actually trying something because you're diving too deep and you're trying to find a reason as to why you should do it in the first place. So from an analytical perspective, I'll just be completely fair and honest with everybody. You got to pull back. You're creating content, that's great. You're getting tons of views, you're getting tons of comments, you're engaging a lot. Don't make that your central focus when you're first starting this stuff. Don't let it drive what you're trying to create. That can come later, right? You're just trying to figure out who you are as an individual. And what I found is I was spending 4 or 5 hours a day on analytics, looking at it constantly. What am I doing? What's it looking like? You got to pull that back. You got to look at it a little bit differently. And what I've done for myself is I set times of when I look at analytics, when I look at everything I do. Organization has been one of the most important things I've learned over this. Even though I've always worked on my organization, this was a whole different level of organization. Setting times of when I look at my analytics, setting times of when I'm going to engage with my audience. And because I relied more on my calendar than my phone, I was able to turn off my notifications. So I didn't see messages coming in. I didn't see notifications coming in. I set myself the parameters I needed to, and that is what's helping me stay sane and not addicted to analytics or notifications in general. If there's a rule of thumb that I can give everybody here, turn off your notifications. Just use your calendar. Your calendar should say, hey, jump on social media here. Then you'll do it. It feels so good. I promise. I promise. The last thing here is that I want to share with everybody is with LinkedIn in particular. What you need to know is that it's a powerful platform, like I said earlier, but it also contains probably the most free content that is impactful to your job ever. I've never seen so much free content out there without being charged a certain amount, right? Without getting fed an ad. There's just free content to help your skills grow. There's so many smart people that I've connected with that share content for free on this network. Sure, they have other seminars, but they're constantly sharing stuff for people to better themselves. And I think that's so incredible. I think it's an absolute honor that people get to do that. And more importantly, just in general, if you're not taking advantage of that, you are missing out on major opportunities because you can learn from other people, right? It's based off of who you surround yourself with in real life and also in your social life, in your social media life. Surround yourself with those people that have those sales skills, that have those marketing skills, certain skill sets that you may have figured out. You're not very good at it. I do it all the time. I try to follow as many content creators just because I'm new to this. I have no idea what I'm doing sometimes. But they can teach me one or two things that I can inject, test, see if it works. If it works, stick with it. Doesn't, toss it out. So these are some of the things that I've learned, and I did this in my presentation. I thought it was hilarious at the end after everyone got off. Oh my God, it's passion. I love getting in front of the camera, chatting with each and every one of you. And I want to continue to drive that. It's an honor to be a part of LinkedIn Live. It really is. I honestly have no idea how I got in the first place. Spoken with tons of people. I don't know how the choosing works. I don't know how the system works, but it's there. This is my application. I got it. I need to take advantage of it. I'm humbled with myself. I'm humbled with the idea of being able to do this. I'm not going to stop doing this. Anything. I want to grow it even more. I want to go outside the spectrum and go completely AWOL. I want to go nuts. I want to lose my mind with it because I'm having fun. And I'm having fun engaging with you, hitting my creative side, and creating content all around. So, what better way to do this than to share some future content with what I'm thinking about? I'd love to get everybody's opinions on this. I'd love to know what your thoughts are around me tackling certain things that I've been thinking about. I think there's no better way to share ideas than with the LinkedIn world. But before we do that, let's take a look at some of the comments that are going on here. Tony, thank you very much. Drive with Charles. Oh, thank you, Drive with Charles. I really appreciate it. Tony, I know that networking piece is just so important. Those connections that you're making are just absolutely incredible. You never know who you're going to talk to. You don't know what kind of information they have. You don't know what kind of drive they have. I think it's fascinating to meet people, to understand who they are and how they fit into your world. And this is a type of outlet where we get to do that, or I get to do that. I get to talk to you directly, be able to do this. But at the same time, from a networking perspective, being able to project myself live, figure this out, in process. Yeah, absolutely. Networking and those connections, you never know who you're going to meet, could really change who you are. Now, getting back into future perspective, right? What am I thinking? Got my ideas right here. And so the very first one is I want to continue my vision of our greatest success is through the success of others. So I want to continue that. One of the first things is, obviously, I want to build up this brand called Give Back. It's something that you'll see at the top right-hand corner of the screen. It is about giving back. And it was awesome to have my first guest on for Live with Weiss was Rob. And Rob had valuable information that there's no way I could have portrayed it the same way he did. The way in which you identify your unconscious thoughts, the way you identify how to change it to conscious or competence. You're thinking of these things. And his portrayal of it is absolutely amazing. And the idea in the future is to continue to do that. Bring in guests of particular skills who want to share a specific skill with the world using my LinkedIn live sessions. I want to bring them in. I want to learn about the skills that they're presenting, be able to talk about those skills with that individual in hopes that that skill that I probably don't even know about can be shared with others who would know that. I think that'd be such a cool thing to bring that on, maybe open up more live episodes. But the idea of other people sharing, I think is the greatest thing. We are in it together, everybody. You, we're in it together. And in order to be in together, we need to support each other. We need to share with each other. We need to watch each other grow and succeed. So I think we will bring more people sharing skills, having that conversation. Now, talking about sharing that conversation, I want to take these live formats, turn them into a podcast. I've done podcasts before. I use a system called Anchor. So for those of you that I know this past year, the podcast world blew up because we're all home. We have these beautiful mics. We have our cameras and everything. And we're trying to share information. Here's the thing. How do you actually do it? When I was doing the video game vlogging back in summer of last year, I stumbled across Anchor. Anchor was a third-party system that literally took your audio files and turned them into podcasts by redistributing them everywhere to every single platform that existed. Listen, it's a great thing to use when you're first getting started because it's not necessarily about making money right off the bat. It's about just getting the exposure. It's about getting that message out. It's about changing people's journey. So I'm thinking about taking all my content Even with podcasts, just sharing it. What do you think about that? I don't know if people are going to listen or not. I don't even know if people are listening right now. No, I love it. It's getting your brain thinking, right? It's getting your brain in this right process, this right mindset of how do you continue to expand? I just can't be here. How can I be anywhere else? Right now, I'm not just streaming to LinkedIn. I'm streaming to YouTube too at this very moment. Which leads me to my third thing I'm thinking about. Getting all my information to the rest of the social media networks. I've been thinking about it for a while and my approach and everything. And it's very much a struggle, right? Do I create new accounts for it, or do I use my existing accounts and just say, go for gold? They're already established, they're already there, and what I'm thinking is probably just using my existing account, getting out there, sharing the information, going live on Facebook, going live on Instagram, posting things to Twitter, making it all interconnected so that the social network continues to expand and the messaging gets out even further. Thinking about that. So, one thing I definitely am going to explore without a doubt in the future is building a website. I don't have a website. I use LinkedIn as my website. It is my profile. It is my everything that is accumulated from business. That needs to change. I need to build a website where content can be created, also where I can create merch. Who wouldn't love a t-shirt with my face on it? Honestly, like, it would be totally awesome. So we're going to be building that out. You have to continue to evolve. You have to continue to expand. Always remember your North Star mission, what you're going after. Everything else will fall into place. Does building a website help me expand my North Star? Yes, because why is it someone doesn't use LinkedIn? Why is it someone doesn't use other social media outlets? People do find things on Google. People do find things on search engines. So you need to be able to expand your voice and hitting that North Star and globalizing it. So we're going to give it a shot. Why not? Also, one thing I've been thinking about, I want to get your thoughts around this is, so Clubhouse is one of the newest platforms of interaction. Super cool. You can get caught in it for hours. If you're not part of Clubhouse, definitely link up with a couple friends out there that can get you access to it. It's in beta, so it's still being tested and all that, but it's a really cool platform in where you can join literally an audio room. There's no video, where you can learn anything. People are talking about business plans. People are talking about marketing plans. People are talking about video games. People are talking about movies. Everything that's out there. So I was thinking about creating a room that's called Pitch It. Giving a safe space for sellers, for marketers, for CEOs, for anybody who sells things. Because remember, we're all salespeople. We all sell ourselves. And giving a safe place to pitch it. Pitch us your product. Pitch us who you are. And allow professionals like myself, professionals like special guests, to come in and critique and help that person evolve. It would be a safe space to do that pitching type of session. I think that'd be really cool and a lot of fun. Man, I'm looking at this list and there's just so much stuff that could be done. But these are some of the things I'm thinking of. And this is important because, again, it goes back to everything we've been doing for 3 months. Look at this. The room has changed. My lighting was terrible. My audio was terrible when I first started. And now it has evolved. It has grown. And there's always more room to grow. And you've got to test things. See if they work. See if they tackle the North Star you're always going after. Because as long as that North Star is always there, you'll succeed. Without a doubt. You're going to pivot. There's going to be some failures in the process. But no matter what, those failures will turn into a pivot of success. Moving in the right direction. I had to reflect. I had to share this information with everybody because there's things that you can do as you're creating content and joining this LinkedIn community to really enhance yourselves. So remember, always that North Star. Organize yourselves. Don't get stuck in the analytics. Use it, but sparingly. It's the beginning. Nothing that you do is going to make a drastic difference. Just ensure that you're doing it and organize yourself through your calendar and engage with everybody. That is what this is all about. networking, sharing, and engaging with each other. This is how we're going to grow. This is how we're going to succeed. I appreciate you all jumping on, joining me in some reflection, progress. We're going to keep on doing this, man. It's just an absolute blast to sit here and be able to talk about this stuff with everybody. If you have any questions about creating content, any questions about today's session, by all means, shoot me a direct message. Let me know. I'm more than happy to have this conversation with you. We can find 10 minutes to find out what it is that's going on and chat about it. But let me know. I appreciate everybody jumping on. Thank you very much. A little bit of a rant, but I appreciate everybody here. Always remember, take care of each other. Remember, your greatest success is going to be from the success of the person next to you, without a doubt. Help them succeed too. Cheers. Y'all have a wonderful week. Catch you next time.